Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my latest patron requested movie review. So for those who don't know, this week I'm doing a week-long kind of series of content just devoted to my patrons, kind of a way of catching up on those reviews that I really do need to do and just, kind of celebrate the guys who give some back, the guys who support my channel and really have no reason to do so, which it boggles my mind, to be honest, that people would support me in this way. When I first heard about Patreon, I thought, no one's going to go in for that. And, despite that, I tried it and here we are. Jack Petrie, awesome patron, requested a review of Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. Now, I saw this film originally when it came out. Went to the cinema with a friend of mine. We watched it. I remember it being quite hard hitting. It was unlike anything I'd seen before. Like, it was clearly a zombie movie, but it wasn't a zombie movie. And I know a lot of people get caught up in arguments about, is 28 Days Later a zombie movie? And it's not people who have died and come back from the dead. It's people who are infected, so to speak. Whatever. As far as I'm concerned, it's a zombie movie. It fits into that kind of subgenre of horror. And obviously Zack Snyder would, not too long after this, go on to make the remake of Dawn of the Dead, in which the fast-paced kind of, really run after you kind of zombies that we find in this film kind of made its way over to Snyder's vision as well. So it definitely had an influence on zombie movies, even if you can't quite bring yourself to call it a zombie movie. So, but my whole point being, it was very much unlike anything I'd seen before of this kind of horror movie. The infected, the zombies, whatever, they move like lightning. They sprint. You need to get your butt moving. Like, one of the problems I have with a lot of the old zombie movies, the Romero stuff, is unless you're swarmed and backed into a corner, you can pretty much run from the average zombie. They move pretty slow. Get your running shoes on and you're out of there. But obviously, with what Boyle did here, kind of changed the game, and we've seen kind of faster zombies since then in movies. Not always, but a lot of the time. It starts off with these environmentalist kind of group who go in to try and save these animals, animal rights activist types. They go into this lab, they break in, they try to free these animals, little realizing that the experiments that have been done on them have created a virus called the Rage. And basically all hell breaks loose and they regret ever showing up there. Fast forward 28 days later, and we have this main character played by Cillian Murphy who wakes up from a coma. He's clearly been in some kind of incident, been in a coma for 28 days, and he wakes up. Now, someone has had the good grace to lock him in the hospital room where he is and slide the key under the door, just in case he wakes up and he can get out, which, of course, he does. But he wakes up to an abandoned London, which is quite an incredible looking sequence. It's really eerie to see London like that. The surprising thing is that it was actually shot just very early in the morning, before everyone was awake, going to their jobs and whatnot. They didn't do that much of a London closure, or they didn't do these mammoth shutting down of streets to film everything. They just shot at the wee early hours, and it pays dividends. It looks amazing. Just like I say, really eerie, desolate kind of London cityscape. That kind of plays into it as well, the camera that Boyle shot this on. I can't remember the name of it. I do remember when I was reading about this film way back when it came out, we were using the same cameras on our university course. Like, we were literally shooting documentaries and stuff with these cameras that Boyle was now shooting a feature film on. Now, the film still looks great. but that cheaper kind of hardware, so to speak, does show at times. There's a very grainy image to it, but I still think that it's very well chosen because it suits the tone of the film. It allows Boyle to shoot in a very handheld, freestyle, documentary type style. You often feel like you're a fly on the wall, kind of watching events unfold. And I think you kind of need that for this kind of movie in which, yeah, stuff can kick off at any moment. You don't know, what corner of the room something might come from. And it's just, it suits it. You could decide to skimp on budget and use this kind of filming method, and it might not necessarily work depending on your film. But yeah, Boyle makes the right choice. He uses it in the right way for the right kind of movie, which is this one. The cast all across the board, for the most part, I really like. Really loved Cillian Murphy. This was the first thing I saw him in. Knew right away this dude was going to be a star because he just carries this movie in such a great way. Not to say that the other actors don't, really do a good job. But if you don't get someone in this role that we can latch onto, like and buy the journey, because he goes from a pretty mild-mannered dude who doesn't really want to get into much to someone who, by the end of the film, looks as though he's got the rage, but doesn't. So yeah, very complicated character journey for this guy, an arc. Naomi Harris is great. Again, first time I saw her in anything. I think the biggest name in this at the time for me was probably Brendan Gleeson, who was at this point was kind of coming on my radar. He's now one of my favourite actors. I will literally watch him in anything. But yeah, he gives a great performance in this. Around this time, I didn't even realise he was Irish, and I think that's mostly down to this film because he does a really great London accent. I mean, I'm not from London. People from London might disagree, but for me, for my money, I thought he was a Londoner. When I first saw this film and Brendan Gleeson was just coming to my attention, I'm like, yeah, that London actor. No clue he was Irish, but there you go. So yeah, that's just a testament to how great Brendan Gleeson is as an actor. And I think he gets quite a lot to do here as well. And I really feel bad for the guy when, spoiler alert, when he dies, because he's a family man. He's doing everything he can to protect his daughter. And you really want this guy to survive. You want all four of these main characters to survive. Naomi Harris and this other girl who's the daughter of Brendan Gleeson's character. You want them to survive. Boyle and Alex Garland, who writes the script, does an amazing job with it. They do a really good job of making you care about these characters. And normally in films like this, you'll get a roster of the typical characters, like a tick list of certain characters, and you'll get the jock douchebag and that kind of thing, and you put them all together and you know what's going to happen to them. These guys, I like them all. I don't want any of them to die. And then when Brendan Gleeson cops it, you literally feel like actually any one of them could go, and I don't want them to. Like I say, Naomi Harris is great as well. She is pretty vicious at the start of this, it must be said. Understandably so, like you understand where it's coming from. She's not a nasty person. It's just she's in survival mode, and she's accepted that, look, this is the situation we're in, and she kills a friend, or certainly the compatriot she's with at the beginning. I don't quite know the history with the two characters, but we know they've survived together, and when he gets the rage, she doesn't even blink. She doesn't think about it. She just kills him. And she knows that deep down she's doing him a favour, But it's harsh. It's harsh to watch, and it's brutal, really brutal, and quite shocking. And it also puts you in fear of this kind of group of friends that she then, becomes a part of, because you do wonder, will she do the same thing with one of them at the moment they turn? So yeah, great group dynamics that I really love. Cillian Murphy, like I say, is the more soft, gentle one, the one who doesn't really want to go into dangerous spots, which does cause one of my problems with the film. It's not a major problem. It's just, like I say, it's not a perfect film. There are a couple of issues here and there, and one of them is like this sequence in which Cillian Murphy goes into this petrol station. he just kind of wanders off. There's no reason really for him to go in there. He just wanders off and gets into a spot of bother where he ends up having to kill this kid who's been infected with the rage. But the thing is, that's fine. I get that scene. But moments before that, he was the guy who was telling them not to drive into the tunnel. You know, he was like, I'd rather go the long way around. Let's play it safe. You know, so this guy is he's clearly a character who he wants to err on the safe side. So to see him just wander off, whatever. It feels a bit out of character, like straight away. So for that was just, like I say, minor aside. It's not a big deal. It's there to get him in a spot where he has to make this decision. Does he kill this child? You know, and then he has to live with that. And the film really is about, well, it's about a lot of things actually, but that's one of the things about that it is about, is this idea that man has always killed each other and will always continue to kill each other. That's what we do. It's what we do best, apparently. And that's very much part of being in a godless world, as seen through the eyes of Alex Garland. You know, I've done a few videos on Alex Garland's movies before. It's no secret that he is an atheist. You know, he's a staunch atheist. A lot of his material that he writes and stuff kind of plays in on that. But as I have found with most of Garland's work, despite the fact that my views are diametrically opposed with his views, I often find a lot of meat in his work that just gets me thinking, gets the grey matter turning over, and this is no different. The main question that this film raises is that if there is no God, if we are living in a godless world, where do we go from there? What do we have? You know, what do we have? Is it survival of the fittest? Or do we have to find someone to love and care for? But even that raises its own questions. You know, where's the meaning and stuff? So they're the questions I get from this film. You know, we have a scene, as I say, going back to Cillian Murphy's character killing the kid. Later on, when they're with the soldiers, with Christopher Eccleston's men and whatnot, and they're at the table, this one soldier who's a bit of a spiritual kind of guy, he points out that actually, you know, nature has been here long before us and it will be here long after, and that and Eccleston's character kind of plays on that and says, well, yeah, man's just has always been a killer and always will be a killer. And it is that idea that, are we just animals? Is that all we are? You know, and I don't think the film tries to answer that. It just poses the question. It's for you to decide. But yeah, a lot of interesting questions raised, a lot of spiritual elements. Again, despite the fact that Garland is an atheist, he does do a remarkable job of making me think about spiritual questions, which, yeah, is one of the reasons I particularly like him as a filmmaker. One of the first places that Cillian Murphy's character walks into when he first wakes up and he's kind of walking around all these abandoned streets, first place that he goes into where he finds people is a church, and one of those people is the priest, and they're all infected. They've been infected, and literally that's Garland making a statement there that, you know, this is a godless world. If there is a God, he's certainly not here. He's left us to our own devices, and no one is safe. Christopher Eccleston is pretty good here as well. Eccleston's kind of been hit and miss for me over the years. I've seen him in things where I thought he's great. First thing I ever saw him in was Cracker, and I thought he was great in that. One of the most kind of, for TV, it's one of my earliest memories of being like really distraught that a character had been killed. If you've not seen Cracker, there you go. I warn you though, it's depressing. But yeah, so like in that, he's been great. I saw him a bit in Doctor Who and couldn't stand his performance. Thought he was terrible. He's done a few action movies here and there where I thought he's been pretty terrible as well. A bit hit and miss. But here, I think he's great. I think he's really good. I think he does an excellent job of conveying this man who has really pushed down under the surface any kind of sense of morality in order, you know, to get the human race to survive. He's rationalized it. You know, anything is permissible if it means the survival of the human race. And you see these moments It's there on the page as well, I think, but particularly in Eccleston's performance, the way he delivers it, certain looks here and there, the way he delivers lines, just that you can tell he's burying a particular side of himself and rationalizing it away in order to get his men through this time. So yeah, it's a great depiction of a complicated character, but not a man that we like. Certainly not a man we're meant to like. There's a lot of sequences in this that really do make you feel tense. Danny Boyle does a great job in that regard from the director's seat. Particular standouts being the tunnel sequence where the car gets a flat tire. I've seen this a few times now, and still every time I'm racing for these guys to get out there. I'm like, go, 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 go. I know they're going to get out. I've seen it before, and yet I still get nervous when I see it. So that's a perfect example of a great job at directing. Also, when the women are taken at the end by the soldiers, and you know what's intended for them, and that's very tense, very tensely played out. And the score, brilliant score, I must say, by John Murphy, that builds up during that sequence in the lead up to Murphy's character kind of going ballistic and gouging the guy's eyes out. That whole sequence just plays brilliantly, like I say, from every level. The music, the performances, direction from Boyle. Incredible sequence that again takes a look at this notion that actually man is built for killing each other, unfortunately, the dehumanization of mankind kind of leads us to becoming very much like the infected. It takes us to our base level as we see Murphy's character kind of, for all intents and purposes, have the rage, have the virus, even though he doesn't. So 28 Days Later is a really great film. It's one of my favourite Danny Boyle films, I think. It's not quite at Sunshine level. Sunshine for me is one of my favourite movies. It is definitely my favourite Boyle film. But yeah, this is definitely top 5 Danny Boyle for me. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Do let me know what you think about it down in the comments section below. I'm sure Jack would like to know your thoughts on it as well. Thank you, Jack, for suggesting this. I've been meaning to get around to this film for some time on my channel. You kind of gave me the proverbial kick up the backside that I needed to get that done. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Thank you to my patrons. I really do appreciate all that you give me, all that you do for me. You really do support me and help me kind of turn this into a full-time thing. I know I'm not quite there yet, but it's just, yeah, I really do appreciate it. You have no idea how much. So yeah, thank you, Jack. Thank you, patrons. Thank you for people watching my videos. And until next time, cracking.